I was diagnosed at 43 years old in 2002, which was a horrible moment because I didn't know anything about Parkinson's except for it was bad. The thing the doctor told me was that it was incurable, progressive, and disabling, which is not three things you want to hear when you're 43. I'm Peter Dunlap-Shohl, and I'm a cartoonist.
Some people today think Peter's drawing is sort of quirky and weird, and it is kind of quirky and weird, but it's interesting and it's always fresh. And he's been bringing that fresh perspective for 40 years. It's astonishing.
For him, it was a lifelong dream. He couldn't help himself. I mean, he was cartooning when he was in grade school. Peter was trying really hard to get his resumes out to all these different papers in the US and just getting rejection letter after rejection letter. And he wasn't really eager to go back to Alaska at that point, but he did something a little different from his other resumes. He wrote to the editor of the Daily News in cartoon form.
At the end of the 70s and the early part of the 80s, we had this amazingly rich newspaper war going on. There were two important newspapers. The old Anchorage Times was the establishment, well-to-do, looked unbeatable, and the Anchorage Daily News was the upstarts. We were trying to be fresh and inspiring and different, and man, Peter had that. My boss, the executive editor, he looked at it and he said, "These are great, we should get this guy." And I said, "Yeah, I think so too."
I told Peter, go, because, you know, this is toe in the door.
There was a great spirit at the Daily News then. People were allowed to experiment and they were allowed to fail. And if you failed, it wasn't the end of the world. It was just a learning experience.
Over the years, you know, he became astonishingly productive. He'd do 4 editorial cartoons a week. The politicians, you know, they were being sort of lanced by Pete every day. Most of them kind of enjoyed it. A lot of times they would call and say, "Hey, could I have a copy of that cartoon?" They figured if I'm important enough to get Peter Dunlap-Shohl's attention, then I must be doing something worth doing.
I felt like it was something that, oh shoot, sorry. I took a pill. Primarily, I identified myself as a cartoonist. One of the things I was worried about was Parkinson's would take that away from me. Parkinson's, its symptoms are so universal. It screws up your ability to swallow, to talk, to move normally, to stand up straight, to do just pretty much anything. And I didn't want to be remembered as somebody who was in the bed, incapable of turning over, with bed sores and stuff like that. I was thinking of doing myself in by, I thought it'd be good to be running out in the park there and get eaten by bears because it would be a clean way to go. Good for my family too because they wouldn't have to watch me falling apart. My wife was not on board with that at all. She said, "You're not allowed to do that," she said.
Our son, I know, would have been just devastated. Devastation doesn't even touch on what it would do to my mental health. When Peter drew a comic about thinking of suicide, you know, for me, my background is like, you know, but for him, I think it's a way he protects himself.
It would have been a horrible mistake, actually, if I had carried out that plan, because I had a great run since then. I had some bad drawing habits that were exacerbated by Parkinson's. I would lean my head over too far and it would generate this incredible pain in my back. And it got to be the point where I couldn't draw because it was just hurt me too much. My doctor said, "There's nothing more I can do for you." And I said, well, what if I was to sit at a computer with a pad and sort of replicate the way a person sits when they type? And he said, that'll work. It also gave me the entree into the world of the computer, which I became inspired. There was so much I could do, color and motion, animations and sound, and that was a very liberating thing for me. I did post a book called My Degeneration in 2015, and it was about Parkinson's. My idea was it was to be a tool for people that would be like I was, freaked out and need information, because that is the most powerful tool you have, is information.
Not only did he help himself, but he helped a lot of people, especially in their early diagnosis.
I thought that Parkinson's would be one of the worst things in the world that could happen to me, but as it turned out, I was able to do things that I wouldn't have done otherwise. It's impossible to read the future, so don't discount your chances.